So, guys, we have a lot to talk about. Because this is my Spider-Man No Way Home movie review. So with that being said, there will be spoilers. And if you don't care about there being spoilers, continue watching. But if you do care, go. So, let's get into it, shall we? Because we are talking about talking about the movie. We're going to be talking. I'm going to start off with one spoiler already. Okay? So, obviously, if you guys seen this moment of the this movie, I'll get to that spoiler in a second. Like, this movie was, first of all, it lived up to the hype. If you ask me, it lived up to the hype. This movie had an Endgame level feel to it. This movie had moments where I said, "What the hell?" This movie had more moments when I cried like a freaking baby. This movie had moments where I was like, that is freaking hilarious. Like, it was good. So, back to the moment that I said about the spoiler part. There was one, I'm going to go back and forth. I'm not going to talk about the whole entire movie, like, start to finish. I'm going to say, like, my bits and pieces, talk about and all that stuff. So, this movie, there was a part in the movie where first of all, here's another spoiler right off the bat, because like I said, Aunt May dies. That's the first part where I said to myself, when I'm like, what the fuck? But that made sense for the story. And here's why. So, they were in like a homeless shelter type of thing. And the Green Goblin... the Green Goblin... they were at Happy's house. The Green Goblin, there was Electro, there was Doc Ock, there was Sandman. The Lizard was in, like, outside. And, they were trying to cure themselves of their powers, so because Peter wanted to give them a second chance. If you guys know anything about the Green Goblin, you know how he is. He obviously didn't like that idea. His alter ego didn't like that idea. And the alter ego and the Green Goblin they what's that word? It's coming to me. He lashed out. Yeah, he lashed out. He did. I can't remember the whole thing. Like, the Green Goblin lashed out. And he goes, we don't need to be cured. These are not curses. These are gifts. So, that actually got all the other people going. Doc Ock, mind you, was killed at this point. And when I say killed, meaning his claws weren't controlling him. The voices in his head that the claws were making stopped. He was good. And, so, like, Green Goblin started, throwing, all the villains went ape shit. You know what I mean? So, the Green Goblin there was, this one scene where the this is the same scene, where the Green Goblin threw a pumpkin bomb. It explodes, and it was Aunt May and it was Peter dressed up as Spiderman. You know, that scene where he's trying to grab the bomb so it doesn't kill May. That goes off. Aunt May and everything explodes. There's rubble and everything. And then Green Goblin says something. And he says, I think he says you are so weak that you can't save the ones that you... He says something. He says that your decisions have consequences. No, he said no good deed goes unpunished. The glider then comes. Peter Parker jumps out of the way. And it gets Aunt May. I kid you not. Like, I thought she was fine. I knew she had some damage. But she's like, okay, I'm just going to go walk it off. She needs to catch her breath, is all she said. She falls. The wind got sucked out of me. The theater, like, I went from, she's a fine to, this isn't okay, man. What the heck? You know? Like, because I didn't know where they were going with it. But it made sense for the story. Remember that, okay? It made sense for the story. Because that sends Peter to, I don't know, that sends Peter's mindset to, I can't get, like, she's dead because of me. All this stuff. Like, all of it. Like, he had it rough from the beginning of the movie. So, he goes, and he just goes to be by himself. And Ned and MJ are at Ned's grandma's house, I believe. And they are like, have you seen Peter? Let's go find Peter. He had Doctor Strange's, because Doctor Strange and Peter got into a fight because Peter wanted to Peter wanted to give him a second chance. Doctor Strange said no, it's their destiny. They would disrupt the timeline, and their fate is that they get killed by Spider-Man. So that leads Peter and Doctor Strange fight about it. Then he gets put into the mirror dimension where it's like Doctor Strange and everything. It's that scene in the trailer where Doctor Strange and Peter are fighting. And Doctor Strange at the end of the battle, Peter outsmarts him and traps him there. We don't see him until the end of the movie. And so it goes back to this scene I'm talking about. That scene before this one that I'm talking about. And so Ned has powers now. And Ned opens up another portal because him and MJ are like, we gotta find Peter. He goes, where's Peter? Well, he said, show me Peter Parker. Because the whole entire point of this movie was the villains anybody who knew Peter Parker from any other timeline came in. Villains who knew Peter Parker, you know. And so when he said, show me Peter Parker, it showed him a Peter Parker. It wasn't the Peter Parker from that movie, though. Here's another spoiler. It was Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker from The Amazing Spider-Man. And that being said, they freaked out. He does it again. And he goes, like that scene where they introduced, like I don't remember that much, but that scene right there made me laugh. It also made me freak out like a freaking fangirl. I'm not gonna lie. But then, after that, he does it again. And who the hell comes out next? My favorite Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. And you can tell how many years it was. Because, my goodness, he looked old in this one. But it made sense. He didn't come out. He just came out in freaking like his regular clothes. I'll get back to that. That's important. That comes to a funny point in a minute. So, and then they talk about it, and they go, and they tell him about how they explain the Peter Parker situation of what just happened, how he lost his aunt. And that part of the movie, I was like, this much. I'm like, what? What? When I saw all the Spider-Man together, I'm like, what? And so they found Peter on this rooftop. And I'm like, what the hell? So that's all. So, and they talk about it. And they talk about how all of them experience loss. I'm trying to make this as short as, I'm not trying to make this as long as video, but if it is, I'm sorry. But they talk about how Peter Parker how they all experience loss and everything. And Peter goes, I lost my Aunt May. The other, Tobey Maguire's Peter goes, I lost my Uncle Ben. And Andrew Garfield's Peter goes, that made me freaking go, what shit, when he said, I lost my girlfriend Gwen. And, so they were like doing recalls, and there was this important scene where he goes, when Tom Holland's Peter Parker goes, he said, with great power comes great responsibility. And if you do not know anything about, whoever knows Spider-Man knows about that, he goes, you guys heard about that too? He said that to Tobey and Andrew. He goes, yeah. My Uncle Ben told me that. I freaked out. So, like, I freaked out. And also, there's also another thing I gotta say. Because like I said, this is going to be everywhere. This is going to be like all over the place. This isn't going to be like this happened and this happened and this happened. It's going to be like this happened, this, like everything. I freaked out also at this part. So Peter, the law enforcement called up to Peter, and the FBI called up to Peter, and they said, and they were like trying all that stuff. They said you need a lawyer. So he got an attorney or whatever. And who popped up? Not only than Matt effing Murdock from the Netflix Daredevil. I'm like, that is awesome. So all that happened. Like, there's so much I can say about, like, that was awesome. And then, like, the end scene happened. All I gotta say about the stuff that I said so far, I was shaking. I was excited about it. I came home and I was excited. But also, so with that being said, with the ending scene, I'm only going to talk about the ending, and then the ending scene goes, because that's all I can remember, is that they fight that they get ready, that they try to figure out a plan. They say, how about we come up with it? So then they go to like some type of lab or whatever, and they talk, and they say, we come up with some idea to give him a second chance? He goes, that's what we do. He goes, if you gotta do it, then that's what we do. So they make up cues and everything. And there was this one thing where they talk about the web shooting, you know what I mean, that comes out of their hands. Tobey Maguire goes, he shoots the web, like, you know. They go, what the hell? Tobey goes, what? They go, how did Tom and Andrew go, how did you do that? He goes, you don't have, you guys can't do that? He goes, no. We have web shooters. He goes, oh. So they talk about it. I was dying, okay, of laughter. Then they get to make everything. Like, I can do it in more parts, but I'm not trying to make this a long YouTube video. I'm like, this is fucking hilarious. So then they make all that stuff, and then they suit up. And then they suit up. And before they suit up, Andrew goes to Toby, goes, are you gonna suit up, or are you just gonna look like a homeless person? No, or like an old grandfather or something. He said something along those lines. I laughed my ass off the whole entire time that he said that. I go, damn. So all that happens, they fight the bad guy that you saw was the Lizard. They fought the Sandman, they fought Electro, and they fought what else? Yeah, they did all that. And then they killed every single one of them. Then Doctor Strange comes and out from the portal and goes, we got to send them back. Like, he was mad. He was mad from how the spell went and everything, obviously. Then they told him, he goes, okay, because actually this movie goes to Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. And then we thought it was over after the fight between the Lizard, Sandman, Electro. Right? No. It wasn't. The freaking Green Goblin comes out, and he said, the first word he said is, the Spider-Man want to come out and play? I went, are you freaking kidding me right now? This guy's back. Then, obviously, they fight. Tom Holland just starts wailing punches. And his rage got into him, because they talked about how Andrew and Gwen died, how his rage got consumed him. It started consuming Tom Holland. Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker jumps in and goes like this and goes and just looks at him. Because he didn't want him to do something he would regret. So he hangs on to the glider. That's what I'm doing. And he just looks at him. He puts it down. Green Goblin still had the glider. Okay? This part had me like, what the fuck? He goes, and he cuts Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. the part where I thought he died. He doesn't, thank God. I would have flipped, okay? And then that enrages Tom Holland even more. So he gets him to cure. Green Goblin goes, "What have I done?" Then after that, Doctor Strange does a spell, and Tom Holland goes, "Is there a spell where they?" I think, and he goes, "Is there a spell?" He goes, "What if they forgot I was Spider-Man? What if everybody forgot I was Spider-Man?" He goes, and all that stuff. That's how they ended the movie. Is when it's when Doctor Strange did a spell, and to fix the entire thing that he thought he did, that situation, and he goes, that would, you would not know MJ would not know you, Ned, like nobody would know you. He goes, "That's fine, just do what you gotta do." So all that being said, he does the spell, and I'm gonna be honest with you. That got me the most. Like, that got me. I'm getting emotional talking about it. That got me the most. So with that being said, after all that happened, I can't remember anything else, honestly. But that has been the movie review. I'm gonna give this. So now back to the rating of what I give this movie. I give this movie, I kid you not, a 10 out of 10. Like when it comes out on DVD, I'm buying it. Like, this movie is good. So with that being said, guys, so I make this video any more longer, please like this video, leave a comment, and also, before I say something else, thank you for coming and watching my movie review. I will be doing more of these. And also, on that note, subscribe for more. I will see you guys in the next one.